This is KUGAN CASSIUS. We're at the Tyson Fury and David Haye press conference here in London. With me, I've got the promoter for Tyson Fury, MICK HENNESSY. Mick, when we had our little thing, we just mentioned now at your last show at Glow, am I assuming the negotiations were sort of partly underway by then already?
You could say partly, yeah. Yeah, definitely. I mean, look,
I can't take no credit for making the fight happen.
No, you brought a lot of attention to it, though, that's for sure. So.
How difficult was it dealing with Haymaker on your behalf and Tyson? Obviously, we read a lot of tweets from Tyson. We didn't know really what to take from the tweets he was sending. So how difficult were the negotiations with Haymaker camp?
Look, I would say for a fight of this magnitude, they was probably standard. I mean, look, you know, fights like this very rarely get made easily. You know, there's a lot of characters involved. The two fighters are massive characters. They're great fighters. They're great, you know, great at marketing fights because they do it naturally, and they know what their self-worth is. And you know, both promoters are very sensible. So we know what the fight's worth. So it was just a matter of, you know, dotting the I's and crossing the T's. And sometimes that takes time. But you know, to get a fight like this, you know. The other thing I'd have to say is as well, we've covered everything in the contract. We've left nothing to chance. So there's really nothing to argue about over the next few months in the build-up to this fight. We've just got to go through the process and make this the biggest fight ever in this country.
It's been suggested that obviously Tyson, when the David Price fight was going to happen before David Price lost, that, you know, people were suggesting that Tyson sort of pulled out that fight. Then they were suggesting it with the Pulev fight as well. But obviously, was this fight, as regards to the Pulev fight, was this always there? So he had to sort of pull out that to make this fight happen?
Well, look, with regards to the Price fight, I mean, we wanted that fight. And no one was upset more than us when he got knocked out by Thompson the first time. Because if you remember, that was the early part of the year. Tyson was fighting April 20th against Cunningham. And our plan was that straight after that fight, as long as Price stayed unbeaten, which we was hoping for, we was going to offer him a massive fight on our terms, you know, and look at a potential stadium fight in early summer. So, you know, we was upset by that, really, and you know, you'd have to say, considering sort of David Price's limitations, you've got to know your own fighter. You need to know your own fighter. That wasn't the best of matchmaking, really, from my point of view, in my opinion. So, you know, that fight was lost, but it was never going to happen at that point in the year. It was going to be a summer fight. So that fight went, and then obviously we address the Pulev situation, it's, yes, it was a final eliminator. Hard fight, but no one interested. That's the shame of it. That's the way the fight game's gone in this day and age. No one was interested in it. It never even had sort of like German backing, German TV backing. So basically, you know, the whole thing, the reason I took Tyson out to Madison Square Garden, the reason we done the Cunningham fight was to springboard him into the big time, into the super fights. And the Pulev fight wasn't a super fight. And no matter who was involved, who was promoting it, it could not be made into a super fight. So it was clearly a matter of, you know, what's the biggest fight we can make? Because at that level, all the fights are dangerous. Whether it's Pulev, Klitschko, Haye, it's heavyweight boxing. They're all dangerous. I
mean, just from an outsider's point of view, obviously people don't know the ins and outs of what happens within your promotional stable, talks you have with Tyson. So I suppose they see him pulling away from a fight with Price for the reasons, whatever you've got, like you've just mentioned there, and the Pulev fight as well. And it's easy for people out there to suggest, oh, we don't want the fight. But obviously this goes to show that he would fight anyone, because David Haye, arguably the toughest of all them. So, yeah,
KUGAN, honestly, I'd love to make this clear. He never, ever pulled away from the Price fight. Whoever's banding that about is, you know, they're not aware of the facts whatsoever. It was Price, you know, they was obviously piping up way too early. And my take on that was they knew his vulnerabilities and they wanted to put him in the biggest money fight possible. Now, if you're going to do that, you've got to know your expectations. Like Tyson Fury earned the right. He was in a much higher position, a much better position. He fought better opposition. He had higher rankings. He had more fights. Come to the table, not basically, you know, putting silly offers in front of us and basically they're going to promote the show and they're going to control things. It was all, you know, it was rubbish. He hadn't earned the right to do that. And we've seen recently what we've always known. You can't, if you are going to match heavyweight boxers and you're going to get them into super fights, you've got to match them properly. You can't give them 10 knockouts, 15 knockouts where no one's fighting back. You can't do that because they're going to get exposed. They're going to get flattened when the truth comes. So, you know, for me, that situation was always ridiculous, completely ridiculous. If you're going to bring a young heavyweight through, he's got to learn to fight en route.
Do you believe a victory for Tyson Fury will catapult him straight into a world title shot, whoever that is against?
Victory for Tyson Fury?
Over David Haye.
I think a victory for Tyson Fury in this fight will make him the biggest fighter on the planet. I think that, you know, making a fight with the Klitschko's, they'll have to really, you know, they're coming after an absolute superstar. Everything would have to be sensible, and you know, a fight like that could generate hundreds of millions worldwide.
All right, Mick, listen, thank you very much for talking to us. We'll look forward to the 3 or 4 months we've got to look forward to the build-up in this. And 28th of September, Manchester Arena, it's on.
Brilliant, thanks Kugan.
KUGAN CASSIUS with Mick Hennessy here in London. Thank you very much.